Welcome to the Pacific Perspective. Welcome to the Pacific Perspectives podcast. Thank God we're not dyslexic, but apparently I am. The Oilers and Canucks played a very interesting game yesterday night. Frankly, it was a game that got me very fired up. I saw your story. I'm sure you were going as well. But besides all the stuff that happened, let's just open up with how did the teams actually play? I imagine you're very impressed with how the Canucks played there, right?
I thought they obviously played a great game. I mean, it was mainly the first period where they won the game, but after having a kind of tough part of the second where it looked like Edmonton was coming back, they did what they did all of last year in the third, and they just locked it down, played boring hockey, didn't give up a lot. I thought it was great. I thought that was the win we needed, and it was especially fun to see Miller get 2 primary assists when he wasn't even supposed to be in the lineup in the first place in that game. But yeah, Quinn scored twice. We got a Danton Heinen goal. He finally did something again. I was going into that game not thinking we were going to win. Even when we were up 3-0, I bet $20 on the Oilers, and it would have paid me $130. So
should have cashed out after the 2.
Maybe, but if I cashed out, the cash out was at $40, and if Edmonton made the comeback and I had cashed out and lost out on the $90, I would have been way angrier than I am currently with the Canucks winning.
That's true. Speaking of Miller, how funny would it be? And you saw his comments after that, how he wants to be a Canuck today, tomorrow, and forever. How funny would it be after all this? They just started playing, Pettersson and Miller just started playing as well as last year again, and everything's just magically okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Miller really, really tried in that game last night. And it was really cool. So we know that the trade could have just been done yesterday. Miller knows that this is for real. Miller knows that they want to ship his ass off. So he has to perform in these games.
He has to perform every game. Every game.
If we're going on a streak with Miller in the lineup, it's right now. It's right now currently. So we'll see. I mean, great win to get. We haven't put together 2 wins in a row in a month and a half. We play Buffalo on Tuesday, so hopefully we can get it done then.
Fingers crossed. I mean, I imagine if you don't win that game and Miller doesn't do anything, that's probably it. If they were just about to trade him, so I don't know.
It's getting a little nerve-wracking. What do you think of the Oilers' performance yesterday?
So, I mean, it really kind of felt like a, for all my deep Oilers fans, like a 1920 type Oilers performance where it was just McDavid and Draisaitl. Nobody else did anything. I thought Bouchard had a really good game. Kulak played all right. Ekholm played awful. 2 ridiculously unneeded penalties that, first of all, destroyed our momentum with 5 minutes left in the third, but already got us in that hole that got us there. I think that was the 3-0 penalty or power play. And he was undisciplined. He didn't play good defensively as he usually does. I actually think he usually doesn't play his best against the Canucks. I'm not sure why. I thought the Canucks did a really good job of holding McDavid down, not just Garland, literally, but they actually really held him off. But not to make excuses for them, but if you've seen that graphic of the travel they've had, I kind of assumed they would destroy the Canucks considering what they were doing, but that was a little naive because, I mean, they were literally all over North America for the last 2 weeks. Frankly, I think their scheduling was a little stupid. The fact that they come back to Edmonton to play LA 1 game, and then they immediately move. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Besides that, over that entire span, they went 7-2. Frankly, it is just too easy. Going into this game, I'm kind of glad we lost, in a way, because if we had beaten the Canucks handily, another 7-3 game like it was last time, I would have just had no faith in the rest of the league to challenge the Oilers, at least in the regular season, because we have so handily dominated teams. Doesn't matter where they are in the standings. We were above the Kings, and we passed them. Now they basically have no chance of catching us after the stretch of... the Kings haven't even played bad, but now because of that stretch of wins we've had, they basically have no chance. Because if you look at the schedule coming up, we played a bunch of easy teams, we lost a couple, we played a bunch of hard teams, and we beat them all. So I imagine that's kind of it for getting home ice in the first round. I did kind of want to see the Canucks win that game because I want them to be competitive. Not too sure the Flames deserve to be there as far as the Canucks do. Although I will say I'm probably very scared of... If I was to be scared of any team in a wild card spot, it's not the Avalanche. They suck. It's not the Flames. That's kind of goes without saying. The Canucks, on paper, are still as good as they were last year. Maybe even better because of who they had brought in, like Sherwood, Heinen, are on paper pretty good. Bottom six pieces, Sherwood maybe even better. And if they get a good defenseman, like a Marcus Pettersson, and their off-ice stuff kind of fades away into irrelevance, they're legit a top 10 team, maybe even like top 5. So I'd still be very afraid of them, and I do not want to draw them. But they deserve to make the playoffs. I think it'd be really stupid if they didn't make it.
I don't know if they deserve to make it more than Calgary does. Like, based off their rosters, Vancouver's the team that should be in. But based off their play this season, Calgary deserves it way more than the Canucks
I suppose by that sense, probably, but deserve isn't the right word there, probably. Should make it. It would be a travesty, I think, to see a roster like the Canucks and a rivalry like the Oilers and Canucks to not carry over into the playoffs, I think.
I really want Vegas to win the division, though, because I want to see the LA-Edmonton round 1.
God, nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that.
I want to see it. I think it's so funny.
If it happens, we just know it's going to be a sweep. We know it's going to be a sweep.
It would be incredible. It would finish the pattern.
You just want me to have a really boring first round series. Like, literally, I don't even know if I'd be able to make any content or any posts out of that. It'd be like, yeah, we beat them again. Let's go. The least exciting first round victory ever. Thanks.
What if LA won, though?
If LA won, I mean, I'd probably say I expected that. I think last year, I was like, not that LA has ever been even close to Edmonton, but... You know, eventually they have to win. They have to. Just a law of averages, they have to win eventually. But
I don't know. I mean, it feels like they're getting older, and
they are. That's the thing.
On the come up.
Kopitar, when these series first started, wasn't really. He hasn't really aged since then. I'd say he's still point per game, elite defensively. Maybe not as good. Probably lost a bit of a step. The issue for me is Danault was so good in the first 7-game series, and after that, hasn't really done anything. Like, he genuinely shut McDavid down, and since then, it's not really been a force at all.
Yeah, which is... It's kind of weird, because Danault always did that. That's kind of one of the main reasons why the Habs made the Cup final in 2021, because he was just going up against those 1Cs, and he was just locking all of them down. It was really impressive, but yeah, he hasn't been able to do that anymore. LA is such a sad franchise right now.
They're really sad.
But I want to go back to you saying like the Oilers travel thing, and that is true. They were on the road a lot. But on the other hand, the Canucks past 2 games before that, they were outscored 11-2. So it feels like it was pretty even ground.
Yeah, I mean that's not to say that I'm making excuses, because like they had that travel situation the entire trip. And they still ended up 7-2. I just think at the very tail end, the Oilers do not get outshot a whole lot. It doesn't happen. The Canucks are pretty good defensively. I'll give them that, despite their blue line. But I mean, the fact that there was just no smart entries happening, there was no real energy on the forecheck outside of McDavid and Draisaitl. And one of the biggest things about McDavid and Draisaitl is not only are they obviously the best people on the team, but they're the ones that are kind of the most in shape. They have the best kind of fitness level on the team. So they will be the only guys that still have energy left to play 25 minutes in a game like that at the tail end of not a 9-game road trip, because they did have the 1 game in between there, but a very long, long trip.
Can I just say that when it comes to the Canucks defense, obviously it's awful past Hughes Fronek. Well, that's what the consensus is.
Myers was pretty good last night, I think.
Myers has good games. Myers is weird because he has heart. He plays with a lot of heart. He makes really dumb mistakes a lot of the time, but he can sometimes just go insane. The one that I want to point out, well, the pairing of Forbert Desharnais has shown me in the past couple games that they could definitely survive as a third pairing on this team. And I was skeptical of that. That was the thing I was most skeptical of going into the season, looking at the lineup. Is Forbort, Desharnais going to be good? I feel like people have been way too hard on Derek Forbort. I think he's been great. He had a really good shot block against Zach Hyman yesterday. He was out on the ice when they were killing the time, the last 30 seconds of the game. And he was getting in front of I don't think he blocked the one. I think it was Pettersson who blocked the one, but he was also in that lane. I've enjoyed Derek Forbort so far. I don't think he's like incredible, but I think he can survive as a third pairing guy. And Vinny Desharnais was the top player in that game in expected goals percentage.
Really? I thought he
really
was pretty
funny.
good. Yeah, by my eye.
Yeah, he can be okay. I haven't had like he has his bad games obviously, but I haven't been too worried about him that much because he does his job, and sometimes he sucks at it. But he's a physical guy. He blocks shots. He's a good penalty killer. I'm fine with Forbort Desharnais as our bottom pairing. The problem lies in one specific player, and obviously it's Carson Soucy. When that play where he had Suter wide open for a breakaway for like 5 seconds, and he sent the pass into the corner, I was about to scream. I can't. Watching this guy is such a struggle. And even if we get Marcus Pettersson, I know Soucy's not going to be the guy leaving the lineup. But our defense, if it's Hughes Hronik, Pettersson Myers, Forbort Desharnais, that can survive, I think.
I think that'd be decent. I definitely put that in the top half of the league. Probably be at the bottom of the playoff teams, but I mean, if you think about, there's teams that can survive with that, especially if they have the goaltending that the Canucks can have, which Demko I thought was actually decent.
Sorry?
I thought Demko was actually very decent last night.
Oh yeah, no, he still had an under 900 save percentage, but it's tough. We limited you guys to 15 shots, and he made some good saves. Yeah, he's still getting back into it, so
yeah,
hopefully he gets his momentum soon. But another thing with the defense is that, like, obviously they can get bailed out by the goaltending at points, but our forward group might be one of the best defensive forward groups in the league. I mean, you got Pettersson playing his ass off. When Miller tries, like he did last night, he's a good defensive forward. I mean, he got all the Draisaitl McDavid minutes, and he was able to keep them lower. Like, one of the Draisaitl goals was on the power play. Other than that, like, he, Suter, and Garland were able to survive with them out there. And I mean, both Suter and Garland are great defensively too. You got Bluger, who can be good defensively. He hasn't been as insane this year, other than on the penalty kill. You have Sherwood, even Besser sometimes. I mean, he hasn't been as good recently, but last year I thought he was really good defensively. So they have the defense has a good support staff from the forwards in their own zone.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their defensive numbers and then you look at their blue line, I think it's pretty clear that most of the legwork is the forward, and definitely the coaching structure. They seem to have really good, just a kind of a great cycle game, and that game just felt like it just felt like a continuation of the playoffs. Everybody's mad about stuff that happens right at the end. If you think back to like the Carson Soucy, basically the exact same move that McDavid did to Garland, which by the way, maybe we should get into.
I don't know. Well, we'll get into that. That's obviously the main point. I don't know if it was the same thing. Honestly.
You're an idiot.
Are we getting into it right now?
Yeah, you know what? Let's dive into it. You give your thoughts first.
Well, I'll compare it first because you brought up the Soucy cross-check. I still, they were both a cross-check to the face, but I still think Soucy's was not meant to go to the face. It was just, he was already pushing forward. McDavid got hit from the back. I will phrase it that way.
If it wasn't going in the face, it's going into his neck.
I feel like it was meant to be at the chest. I think it was an accident. It was just unfortunate. McDavid's, he gets up, he considers it for 2 seconds, and he goes right for the face, which isn't a hard thing to do when it's Connor Garland. You don't have to really reach up or anything, but McDavid's had way more intention behind it than Soucy's did. But talk about the whole play between Garland and McDavid as a whole. What did you think of it? What did you make of it?
I'll give my unbiased play-by-play of exactly what happened here. So it's the last, and Garland even admitted this. They get into a battle and they both fall down. I will say McDavid probably initiated the contact, but then Garland just holds him down, and he is McDavid is not paying attention to the ref. He's not holding the ref. I'll read you his exact quote. This is Connor Garland. As you know, I'm just holding him. I mean, he's the best player to ever do it. So you know, thanks, bud. So you know the time's running out, and I just thought that was maybe the best way for us to win a game was to do that. Which, he's not wrong. If you're not cheating, you're not trying to win.
I mean, the thing is, like, no one's trying to deny that Garland was holding McDavid down.
Yeah.
McDavid was doing similar things to Garland, and even when he had the chance to escape and like get up and get back in the play, he chose to send extra shots to Garland. Like when he got up the first time, he still like smashed Garland's head into the not into the ice, but he still went after Garland. So Garland had all the reason to continue tying him
Well,
up.
think about this. And honestly, for any of this, I do not blame Garland. He is arguably, I would say, arguably the Canucks' best forward consistently this year. Would you agree with that?
In terms of consistency, I don't even know. He hasn't been as good point producing recently.
In terms of like total value through the entire year, he's definitely been better than Pettersson and Miller.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have many bad games specifically, but
anyways, my point is, McDavid is frankly getting dogged out there. I don't think anyone, like you said, I don't think anyone would argue that. There is 10 seconds left in probably the biggest rivalry in the Pacific Division right now, definitely between these two teams. And you are getting held down. You are the best player in the world. You are going to be a part of the tying goal if it happens. And man, let me tell you, it came so damn close. There was like 3 Draisaitl chances with the net pulled. And man, I mean, I think they all got blocked. I don't think Demko actually ended up making a save, but collapsing by the Canucks. Yeah. So they're so close. This is a long-standing rivalry for the past year or so. And the most annoying player in the team, in the league, in my opinion, he's very good, but he's a little Brad Marchand. He is taking you down, and you are just pissed because there's no penalty called. If there was a penalty called, why would he do that? Do you think if the ref puts up his arm with 10 seconds left and he's holding him down, I don't think it's obviously on McDavid. I'm not excusing the behavior, but it's fully 100% on the officials for not calling anything. And it goes back to the rest of the game too. There were missed icings on both sides, missed calls on both sides. You saw that high stick.
No, we're staying on that point. That's the dumbest argument I've seen Oilers fans make. Is that if the refs make a call, nothing happens. It would have been a delayed penalty. The play doesn't get blown dead because the Oilers have the puck anyway. And McDavid's not looking at the ref to see if there's a call being made. McDavid's going to cross-check Garland in the face, whether there's a penalty or not. So no matter what the refs do there's still a cross-check to the face, because it's a fucking delayed penalty.
Sure.
That's the dumbest argument I've seen the Oilers fans make.
You think that McDavid wouldn't look over to the ref to see that a penalty would be called? And if a penalty had been called, he's not going to, even if he just has his arm up.
Was there a point at any time where McDavid was looking at a ref?
We can't see him at all times.
I don't think he did.
But he does that quite a lot where he peers over to what the ref is doing. He wouldn't have to like move his head or anything. Okay, listen. This is why you call the game correctly. You could see it, even the Canucks were doing the same thing when they missed a call on McDavid too. They were getting pissed at everyone because a call had been missed. This happens all the time in hockey. And it's the same thing why you let fights happen so people just don't do stuff like now. Frankly, that's a little babyish that you need to fight so that you don't cross-check someone in the face. That sounds a little stupid, but it would work out like that. That's usually how it is. I just think if they call the game correctly, it wouldn't have been a call throughout the entire game, and including that play. McDavid can be pissed because outcome of the game and because he's just getting held down. But you're right. There's not really anything the refs can do there because it would be delayed, and then it would just be. I mean, they ended up blowing the whistle anyways because they were just straight up bawling over there, like they were just starting a line brawl.
At that point, it was a penalty for both of them, so they gotta call it. But at the point when it was supposed, it was definitely a penalty by Garland. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, the refs don't change the fact that McDavid is gonna be a dirty player there anyway. And it's crazy that it's just coming off a very debatable thing against Minnesota. A lot of people thought he deserved some punishment for that. Like right after that, you'd think he'd be on his best behavior, knowing with the recency bias, people are going to be thinking, wow, McDavid's dirty. But no, he just goes right back and cross-checks a dude in the face. I saw so many Oilers fans being like, oh, Garland deserved it. And I'm sure Garland sounded funny. But, like, a cross-check to the face for a dude holding you down, that's not, like, can you imagine if it were the other way around and Garland cross-checked McDavid in the face for holding him down? Can you imagine how much your fan base would be crying and pissing their pants?
McDavid would have deserved it if he was doing that in the same situation.
Do you think Garland deserved a cross-check to the face? There's no excuses for that.
I mean, he's not going to, like, kill him. He's not even going to take out a tooth.
He did more damage to himself. He's the only one who fell from that. He's such a little weak bitch that he didn't even get Garland to fall.
All right, buddy. All right. Let me take a quick. Let me take a quick sip
David's
from
the
my
one who fell down
jug.
after throwing the cross-check. No, he's not going to kill him, but like there are so many better ways to retaliate than.
I will say this happened quite a bit throughout the game, and I really hope they take a lesson from this. All of the penalties that the Oilers took were just stupid. Did you see the Bouchard slash? I think that was the first penalty.
I don't remember. I remember the Ekholm cross-check was
that was dumb.
Funny.
That was just dumb.
He breaks his stick over whoever it was' back, and then he's complaining to the refs like, "You cross-checked a dude. Your stick's in two pieces. What's your argument?"
To be fair, you could kind of see in how I think he was cross-checking Garland in the back, or was that on the? Either way, he very obviously didn't really apply as much force as he should have to like break the stick. I think it had a fracture in it and it was going to break anyways. So that was maybe. I mean,
you're literally never getting away with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're never getting away with that. If the stick breaks, it doesn't matter how much force you were doing. I mean, the guy didn't fall over. If he falls over and he breaks his stick, that's like potentially a major. But where I was going with the Bouchard slashes, they were very emotionally invested in this game. Maybe it was because of the long road trip. I don't know. It was probably because it's the Canucks and they're losing. And every time they lose to the Canucks, they just, I don't want to say whine, but they get so into it, and they are just, you can tell it means so much to them to beat this team. I don't really remember the Canucks doing much on that front when they lose. Probably they do it a little bit. There's the Soucy cross-check. They won that game, though. But my point is, they are very emotionally invested in this game. Evan Bouchard slashes, I believe it was Myers, just on the back of the leg for no reason. Like, not even close to the play. I think that was their first power play. And what's lost in all of this is, after that Garland thing had gone down, they blow the whistle. Bouchard is just talking to Myers in the corner there. And Myers just gives him the craziest cross-check right to the teeth I've ever seen. Like, it was just as hard as McDavid's, except I would probably give Myers more games because it's so unprovoked, honestly.
I mean, you have to wonder what happened to lead up to that, because, like,
I want to know what
Myers
he said.
Is a good guy. He's been suspended before, but, like, the other suspensions, a lot of them I disagree with. There was one against Calgary where he got suspended for a hit to the head. But really, it was just unfortunate because Myers is tall. This one, obviously, he deserves to be suspended for. But you have to wonder, like, what happened leading up to that to make Myers do that?
I would pay really good money to know what Bouchard said. I mean,
it had to have been. Yeah, he had to have been provoked in some way. I don't think he just like skates up to a dude and cross-checks him.
He obviously said something. Maybe he said something about his wife or something. I don't know. I certainly hope he said that to warrant that. But so, do you think that Myers should probably get whatever games that McDavid gets, which we'll talk about here? Do you think Myers should probably get more or less?
I wouldn't mind if he gets like +1 or something, just because we can see where the provocation of McDavid occurred, and we don't really know what happened with Myers. And Myers NHL Breakers pointed it out. Myers was after the play. McDavid was during the play, so that probably gets him an extra game. So if he gets one more game than McDavid, it's going to look bad. And a lot of Canucks fans are going to be pissed if it's one extra game. But if he gets one extra game, I would understand it. If he gets any more than one extra game, I will not understand it.
So the Canucks and Oilers, they play again on Thursday. So I think what's going to end up happening is, so that's in 2 games for the Oilers. They play Washington on Tuesday, and then they play the Canucks on Thursday. I think what's going to happen is they're just going to give McDavid 2 games, and then Myers 3 games. So they're both going to sit out that game. So that doesn't happen again. Personally, I would go a little higher. I would go 3 and then give Myers 4. But 2 or 3, it's not too far away. I just think you have to give McDavid something, because you can't be doing that, especially when you just let something that probably should have been at least a minor penalty, but it could be argued to be a major. I don't see a suspension in the wild play on Marcus Johansson I'm talking about, but I don't think that's a suspension personally, but could have been a fine. They obviously let that go. They can't let 2 go, right? They can't let him play like that.
No, I mean, if you let McDavid get away with a cross-check to the face, that is sending a very, very bad message. You're not protecting players at all. You're letting this guy get away with that. I mean, the funniest possible outcome is like Myers getting suspended for 3 games and McDavid getting fined $5,000.
I'd actually honestly, as an Oilers fan, I'd be a little upset at that, because that's kind of building a bad narrative for the Oilers here, that they're like the league's baby, which is already a common narrative.
I would honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if McDavid only gets 1 game just so he can play against the Canucks again. I mean, the viewers for that game are going to be through the roof now, especially if McDavid plays.
If you're like the league's marketing team, are you going to the Department of Player Safety and going, man, he deserves a suspension, but just give him the one. Just give him the one. And dude, the viewership, you're right. The viewership, that would have like Winter Classic levels of viewership. People, that would be on ESPN, TNT, everywhere, right there. That would be the game of the month.
I mean, they should really just like suspend McDavid and Myers for however long, but not make it count for that specific game.
Yep.
Just let them go at it again, just for fun.
Just let McDavid play just let McDavid play the opening draw, and let him just fight. Let him just fight Quinn Hughes, and I think there we go.
McDavid versus Quinn Hughes fight, that would
center ice right off the draw, right off the hop. I would love that.
That would be very funny. I'm really looking forward to that game. I don't think we're gonna win it, honestly. I guess
it's at home with the Oilers.
Is it in Edmonton or in Vancouver?
It's in Edmonton.
Okay. Yeah, it could really go either way. We saw last year, Vancouver won all those games in the regular season. This year, they play really angry against Edmonton. At least they did yesterday. So we'll see what happens there. I hope that they can win it again, because I don't want to have Oilers fans in my gyms.
I feel like the Oilers winning that game is kind of an inevitability, because they're probably going to be more emotionally invested in it, especially without McDavid in the lineup, I'm assuming, than the Canucks are. For the Canucks, it's probably just another 2 points. For the Oilers, it's the division, and screw these guys, so let's score. And with the year that Draisaitl's having, I don't think McDavid being out of the lineup automatically means we lose like it used to. So it'll be an interesting one. We'll see.
I am way more scared of Draisaitl than McDavid when the Canucks play the Oilers. Draisaitl now has points in 30 of his last 31 games against the Canucks.
That's ridiculous.
He was clearly the best player in the series, in the playoff series.
I agree.
So much so that Myers had to injure him so that he couldn't do anything in the Cup Finals.
Yeah. Very
I'm
sad.
terrified of Draisaitl. So yeah, no, McDavid not being in the lineup, I don't think that changes much to me if Draisaitl's still there. I wish that Draisaitl were the one getting suspended, honestly.
I mean, for a game like that, for like a rivalry, I imagine you probably do want. Oh my, where did light come from? You do want the best players in the lineup so it can be the best game possible. But man, I mean, mark it on your calendars. It's going to be a really interesting one, especially. Who do the Canucks play before that?
Just Buffalo.
Just Buffalo on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not going to be a whole lot of heart in that game, I don't think.
Yeah, if they lose that game, then maybe Miller's on to go. But we'll see here. I think. Do you have anything else to say here?
Yeah. Wait, I had one thing, but I think, and I'm really hoping that last night the Oilers inadvertently gave the Canucks exactly what the Canucks needed, which is a win that had some heart in it. Like, we had the Leafs game, which was a good character win, but there wasn't, like, a lot of animosity in that game. There wasn't a lot of feeling. Last night's game had a ton of feeling. It had a lot of guys engaged. I'm really hoping they can build off of that. I'm hoping that that is exactly what they needed to keep going, and it would be really, really funny if the Oilers accidentally revived the Canucks season.
That would be terrible. That would be terrible. All right. I think we're going to cut it there. This is going to be a short episode. We're going to come out with another one tomorrow on Monday, but we'll have this one out for you soon.
Episode 15, Part 1. Episode 15, Part 1. We will see you for tomorrow. We would be doing the entire episode today, but there was only like an hour-long window where we can both record today, and we had to get something out today.
Yeah.
Obviously. Like, I would have been fine recording all of it tomorrow if that last 30 seconds of the game didn't happen.
Yeah. I feel like we just have to talk about it. I almost wanted to ask you at like midnight last night, let's record emergency podcast, but I guess we were both sleeping at that point, so.
I actually wasn't, but I probably didn't want to record that late anyway. And sleeping on the thoughts is good. We didn't let it enough time go by where...
Yeah.
I think we're still kind of heated at the game.
I think if we had recorded that emergency pod, there wouldn't be a Pacific Perspectives anymore. I think one of us would be dead.
We were drawing in the group chat.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Everybody hated you.
Well, I will tell you this. The Oilers are the better team, and everyone hates the Oilers, so they will never take my side. You agree with that, right?
Well, I think more so McDavid is a bitch, and nobody wants to side with McDavid.
Yeah,
he's a
McDavid's kind of become a villain, hasn't he? He's kind of pissed off half the fan bases in the league, on top of scoring on them like 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't do that against us, but sure. I don't know. Like, Crosby had some dirty things too in his day.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was quite to this level, though.
I actually think he had probably worse. They were a lot fewer between. Like, it feels like McDavid probably goes through a couple, maybe 2 or 3 a year. Crosby did like 1 a year, and it was like awful.
I mean, McDavid had a couple weird ones yesterday. Like the thing to Hronek, we don't even know where the stick ended up because of the angle, and Hronek's shoulder was kind of...
It didn't touch his face, I'll tell you that. It didn't touch his head.
It didn't hit his face, but it definitely got close to the neck area. Why did McDavid even do that?
I think he was doing a little like a little crossover with the stick, and then he kind of got caught in his jersey. I love that image so much. The on guard.
It is funny.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Also, Derek Ryan just got waived.
Yeah, that happened to...
I didn't see that. Derek Ryan just got waived. Thank God. That guy is... I'm sorry. It's time to retire, buddy.
Oh, hey, Josh Brown got loaned to the Condors.
Yes! Thank you. Thank you. Why? What? That would be a perfect game to have... It almost feels like they wanted that scrum to happen at the end, considering who they were dressing. Josh Brown over Jeff Skinner, your grit per 60 goes up by like 20 points. It shoots up to like first in the league. We don't need that. We got outshot. I believe we got outshot 0-11 when Josh Brown is on the ice. At 5v5. Or it was like 0-6, something like that. It was bad. He is not an NHL player. Everyone can see that. So... Thank God that's done with, that little episode of Josh Brown being here. I'm pretty sure they actually only had him up for that kind of travel sequence so all the defensemen wouldn't get completely tired. But I still don't get it. There's better defensemen on the Condors.
The stats actually made me think yesterday was one of the first times in a while where the Canucks have significantly won a deserve-to-win meter. I always check it, and after their wins, they're always at like 45%. But yesterday, I think it was like 85% for the Canucks.
I think that's probably the worst the Oilers have been outshot all year. There was a couple games here and there, but I think we actually ended up winning them. And it was more like score effects. This was just they got outplayed.
Yeah. I'm very proud of the Canucks team. It would be really fun if they could find a way to save Miller from being traded by playing well now. That would be a really good story. Like, he's that close to being traded, and then we just go on a run, and it's like, okay, maybe we got to keep this guy. I want to keep Miller, but also, like, if we're getting Lafreniere,
I think you take that.
I'm not gonna.
I think you take that.
Yeah, like, I love Miller and all, but Lafreniere, I don't think that's gonna happen though. So I want to keep Miller. If the price is like insanely high, it would be hard to say no, like Nemitz or Lafreniere, but I don't think we're getting either of them. So I would just want to keep Miller.
If you get a bidding war going between the Devils and the Rangers, you've probably got a good price going there. I personally think, just because of how they're going right now, I think he goes to the Rangers. But the Devils will be an interesting option. I can definitely see like Simon Nemitz coming back there. That makes a lot of sense because he'd immediately be on their second pair, right?
Yeah. I saw some Rangers fans saying they gotta wait till that they should wait till Miller's value or the Canucks leverage in the trade is down. But if our leverage goes down,
can it go down anymore?
Well, we still have leverage. We don't need to trade him. It's not like
actually, you know what? I guess last week you probably were in the situation where like you're kind of sinking, and it's very obvious the off-ice stuff is kind of distracting you from playing the team playing as well as it could. So I think at that point the leverage is definitely in the toilet. But now that he's actually playing decent, now it's definitely you don't need to. Well, we'll see if he keeps it up. But definitely if he's playing good, you do not need to move him.
Yeah, I mean, he also said he wants to stay in Vancouver, so it's not like he's going to force his way out. We still have the leverage with the player. It's not a Kachuk situation where he's going to force his way out.
Yeah, he's going to leave.
Like, we still have enough leverage. Obviously, teams will know that we have some problems, so we probably can't get as much for him, but we can still get a good amount. Like, he's a 100-point scorer. He's still around point per game this season. I mean, we can get something good from him, but I would rather it just work out because having that 1C, 2C of Pettersson Miller, like that's, I mean, really
that's the boring option. That's the really boring option for it to just
boring, but it's probably the right one. The best pathway for the Canucks is it working out with Miller.
I think I'd agree with that. We're already heading towards such a boring trade deadline too. If that doesn't turn out, then there's nothing that's going to happen at all. So please, right. Miller, please get unhappy here.
I think we're shifting into stuff we can talk about tomorrow. So definitely. I think this is a good spot to end it. I don't like McDavid.
Interesting. I don't like the Canucks. That was episode 15. You know, at some point we're just going to stop counting the episodes. We're just going to give them the titles. But yeah. All right. We will see you guys on Monday. Goodbye.
Which is tomorrow.